Linus, the creator of Linux, shared a really interesting rant about the use of AI in the Linux kernel. And I think some people will need to hear that because I've also said it in pretty much all of my episodes, videos over the last years. You will not have a future as a software engineer, as a professional software engineer, if you're acting like AI isn't there and isn't useful. You can debate AI, it has disadvantages, it has certainly taken some of the joy away from me when it comes to software engineering. I've shared my thoughts about that too. I'm also finding new joy more and more, but you can't ignore it. You can't act like it's only bad and doesn't have any disadvantages. That is why this is really interesting. I realized that some people really dislike AI, but this is an area where I'm willing to absolutely put my foot down as the top level maintainer of Linux. Linux is not one of those anti-AI projects where one of the most prominent examples would be the SIG project. But yeah, Linux is not one of those anti-AI projects. And if somebody has issues with that, they can do the open source thing and fork it. Now, to be very clear here, I am fully aware that AI has many negative consequences for open source maintainers. They get swamped with slop pull requests and issues, and it's hard to keep up with all of them because there is an infinite amount of slop coming in, and you as a maintainer feel pressured to work your way through that or ignore it all entirely, which of course is also not the idea of open source. I totally get that. However, of course, the answer to that can't be to totally ignore AI. The answer may be to ignore issues and pull requests for you. But that does not imply that you yourself shouldn't be using AI or that some core contributors shouldn't be using AI. And for example, the SIG project has a very firm and strict anti-AI policy about not accepting pull requests, for example, that are about AI-generated code or where the code has been AI-generated. There are repositories, there are projects out there with pretty strict policies, and of course, every maintainer can do what they want, but I am convinced this is not the way forward, not for maintainers and not for software engineers in general. You have to use AI as what it is, as a tool. As a tool, you have to learn to wield efficiently, and it also is quickly evolving. So how you use AI also changes, and I know there are many developers out there who may have used AI a year or two ago, or who may be using it in their companies with restricted or outdated models, or in environments where you can't do a lot with those models. And I totally get that AI doesn't feel super capable if that's the case, but play around with it on your own machine and be open to it. Embrace it as a learning process. It is a tool where we all need to get better and where we all need to figure out how to best use it. And there is this full range, right? You can be in the vibe coding area and not care about the code at all. You can be in the agentic engineering area where you do care about the code, but still use AI, where you do build or write your specs, your plans, where you review stuff, but where you also automate stuff. It's not black or white. It's not 1 or 0, even though some people like to make it that, but that's not what it is. It is a spectrum, and it is something that's quickly evolving and where we still need to learn. You don't need to build loops where you try to automate everything, but you also should probably not just be using AI for auto completion anymore. You should really embrace it and try things out and be open to failing and to learning, and also open to improving the process over time. Try out using agent skills and see how that could improve things, and how fine-tuning these skills to your specific workflows could improve things. This is all what I'm doing, and what most people that are working with AI are doing. They are trying to figure out how to wield it effectively. And that is why this is such a beautiful take here. Because what Linus is saying, obviously, is that Linux will be built or will be maintained with help of AI, and people that don't want that can just walk away. AI is a tool just like other tools we use, and it's clearly a useful one, just what I also said. And of course, most people that are working with AI efficiently are saying that. I am not talking here about the vibe coding area where AI is not a tool but a replacement for you. It is a super useful and powerful tool, a quickly evolving one, as mentioned. It may not have been that clearly even just a year ago, but it's no longer in question today. And I think that's also a very good point here. And we all can feel it, at least if you are engaging with those newer models if you're using them a year ago. So in summer 2025, all these tools and all these models were obviously way, way worse. And I was wrong here around the change from 2025 to 26 in December. I predicted, or in early January, I predicted that models would probably not become that much better. And I was clearly wrong there. They did become much better because they got much better at following instructions, at calling tools, using skills, keeping on working for longer periods of time. The post training the AI companies did there was and is really effective. And of course, they are still getting better. But as I also said back then, the tooling where we use these models also got much better. We have amazing coding harnesses like Pi. We have Claude Code. We have Codex. We have so many, and most of them are pretty good. And of course, are also evolving and are really, well, can be used such that those models can work very efficiently in them, that they can use sub-agents, that they can use these agent skills and so on. And that clearly has changed compared to a year ago. And yeah, of course, you can get more done now than you could a year ago. There are other questions around AI, like what the economy of it will actually look like in the end. But is it useful is no longer one of those questions. Anybody who doubts that clearly hasn't actually used it. And I fully agree here. And yeah, again, really, I know some people are just rage baiting, and that's fine. That's the internet. I'm aware of that. But if you truly believe AI should be ignored, think again. This is a very dangerous attitude and opinion if you want to stay in that field. And I couldn't care less if an individual person leaves software engineering or not, but I've always tried to create content that is helpful, where I teach people stuff, and I'll continue doing that. But part of that is that I want to share my opinion. And please, I urge you, if you are very skeptical of AI, give it a try and learn how to use it and be open to it. It's really important. It is the future of software engineering. And this is, just to be clear again, because there will be some comments, this is not a new take. I've said that in pretty much all of my episodes before too. AI is a tool. You need to learn how to use it. Yes, it can also be somewhat a painful tool, but for maintainer workloads, both for maintainer workloads and just from it keeps finding embarrassing bugs standpoint, yeah, that's what I also mentioned before regarding maintainers being swamped with AI stuff. But the solution is not to put your head in the sand and sing la la la, I can hear you at the top of your voice like some people seem to do. Totally agree. The solution is to make sure those LLM tools help maintainers instead of just causing them pain. There's no question on that side. And that is exactly what I also meant here. You gotta be open. You gotta learn how to use that tool. And I will also create more resources also on that other channel, the Academy channel, where I try to share more on that for free, on how I'm using these tools, and that may be helpful to some of you too. We're not forcing anybody to use it, but I will very loudly ignore people who try to argue against other people from using it. And no, AI isn't perfect, but Christ, anybody who points to the problems at AI had better be looking in the mirror and pointing at themselves at the same time, because it's not like natural intelligence is always all that great either. And I mean, that is a good point. And I find myself in a position where you expect more from AI than you do from a human being. And at the same time, you often trust a human being more than AI. Even though, of course, humans also are prone to do errors, right? Nobody's perfect. We've all written our fair share of horrible code or introduced bugs, and we are not perfect. One big difference, of course, is agency. As a human, you own a piece of code. You are responsible for that code. And with AI, that's not the case. The AI doesn't own it. The AI isn't responsible for it. It's still you, the human. And maybe that is why we expect more from AI, because if some tool is writing the code for you, but you are responsible, maybe that is why you get pretty angry if that code is bad. Also, of course, because that thing, the AI, is threatening to take your job. That's definitely the feeling you can get, obviously, for obvious reasons. And therefore, even more, you think, well, you better do the job right then if you're going to take mine. I don't know. I definitely know that feeling too, that you expect more from AI than from humans. But it is a good reminder, of course, that, yeah, humans aren't perfect either. And again, it is that combination. I truly, deeply believe in that. It is that combination. And it has been that combination for the last 40, 50, 60 years of technology and humans that can produce pretty amazing stuff. And yeah, therefore, that is a very important point here, I believe. The kernel project has been and will continue to be about the technology. Sure, the social angle of working on open source is important and often a very motivating part of the project, but in the end, that's a side benefit, not the point of the project. This is not some kind of social warrior project, never has been and never will be. And I mean, I'm not sure if it's meant like that. You could take that as some shots fired towards some other projects, like the SIG project, but there are others too, which are very anti-AI, where it feels more like it's a mission rather than trying to build a helpful technology or tool. And I might be totally wrong here. Don't worry primarily about producing good results or outcomes, but more about maybe the art of writing code, which I totally get to some extent, but not if you do it professionally. That's just my take there. And as I mentioned also in other videos, there has been, I said it before, some joy taken away by AI. I did like that art of writing code, by hand, but it is now really just that to me, an art. I can do that as a hobby, but not professionally. Writing all the code by hand, that is just not the future professionally. Again, I can just say it over and over again. In the kernel community, we do open source because it results in better technology, not because of religious reasons. And so we make decisions primarily based on technical merit, not fear of new tools. And I think some people need to read this. I know many people already know this or probably have a similar opinion, but some people really need to question their stance on AI and maybe become a bit more open-minded if you want to stay in that field. If you are just here for rage baiting, or if you're just doing this as a hobby, which is totally fine, then yeah, sure, you can totally ignore it. But it's not a fad; it's not going away. And again, I've been saying that for ages. So yeah, try to be a bit more open there, maybe, and use AI as a tool. It is a really helpful tool. And I think Linus has a beautiful point here.